The future belongs to those who dare, those who will do extra. Hi, I'm Mark Croskery and welcome to Business Live Extra, the program that looks beyond the dollars and cents to the movers and shakers in business and the capital markets. Our guest today is very well known in the financial services industry and has over 30 years of experience in the field and on various boards. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Management from UWI, the University of West Indies, Mona, and an MBA in Finance from Nova Southeastern University. He is the former chairman of the board of directors of the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the former managing director at Barita Investments Limited, where he served for over 10 years. He now heads an investment business that is promised to shake up Jamaica's financial industry. Let's meet our guest. He is Mr. Ian McNaughton, CEO of Cumax Wealth Management Limited. Ian, welcome to Business Live Extra.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey,
Good to be here.
We can do that as well. Yeah. You know, it's great to have you. Pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
You know, I remember serving on the Jamaica Stock Exchange board with you, and you were a fantastic chairman.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
Good to hear that.
You know, and you're really taking it to even newer heights now, being the CEO of Cumax Wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How the whole name Cumax? I know it's kind of a pivot or rebranding, but how did you come up with this whole name Cumax? It's a catchy name. You know, I really like the name.
Right. Well, as you know, QMax is a rebranding of a previously named credit union fund management company. Now, with the pending Bank of Jamaica regulations which are to manage the credit union's regulatory framework, the regulations prevent a company or an organization that is not a credit union from having the name credit union in its name. So hence, this pivot to QMax, which can be interpreted to mean credit unions maximizing wealth.
I like that. Yeah. Was there any, when your branding team looked at it, or your marketing manager, etc., you're saying both just did a little race with CarMax, any kind of play, internationally, saying, boy, CarMax, QMax, any little relative
nothing
play
like
there?
that. I mean, all the research, background research and investigations were done to determine, that we're on stable ground with the name and we were not impinging on any trademarks.
Yeah.
So,
but it's catchy. I like it. It's one word, and I find some of the best brands globally are just one word to the point. So congrats on that.
Nice name, good name.
And you're looking the part. You're looking young and fresh again. In the blue suit.
Rebranded.
And to that point, Ian, you've had a great career. You've been with a lot of Jamaica's largest companies. Barita Investments, Berger, Goodyear. How did your whole career, get started and going, and where were your high school days spent?
All right. My high school days were at the best school in Jamaica, St. Diego High School, and left there at sixth form. Played Manning Cup and track and field and all that sort of thing. But I left there at sixth form. Incidentally, all the family went there. And my mother was a teacher there, so we could not get into any trouble at school. Yeah.
Was your mom the iron fist or kind of the matriarch of the family, or what was the family vibe like?
Mom was one of the iron fists. That was the other side of the iron fist. So there was very little that we could get away with. But thankfully, they inculcated in us some good standards, good values, and provided a enabling environment. So, we were not really, what you might call now, overly managed or overly dominated. We were allowed to explore, we were allowed to do all we wanted to do, but we knew the rules.
So they in a way, they let you find your own way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did your dad do?
My dad was, at his retirement, he was Assistant Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. So he spent a lot of time in social development and all that, So Mom was a teacher. So we had that grounding. We had that framework that allowed us to develop and actually become who we are.
Yeah. So you really had a kind of a balance at home where you had, without saying pushing you, but you had two parents who were really, fostering that, let's do better, let's get things rolling. You know, and education was important, clearly, with your mom as a teacher.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the things that I always remembered is the fact that we are always taught that if you want to do what you want to do, you have to do what you have to do. So we never had problems, or they never had problems with us on homework.
Yeah.
You know, we always say, hey, you need to do your homework so you can go play.
Yeah.
So we always got our stuff done, and then we were ramping all night.
Yeah. Did you ever find it a challenge, or, you know, was it kind of sometimes a bit difficult going to school where your mom was a teacher with your schoolmates, or was it actually beneficial, or any jokes or challenges during that time? Well,
let me say this. It had its benefits and it had its disadvantages.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the benefits was that I could hardly get caned. And the disadvantage is that, you know, your schoolmates always thought that you were a teacher's pet, mama's boy sort of thing. So it had that disadvantage. But all in all, it worked out fine. You know, there were never any issues where we were picked on because of mommy being a teacher. And, you know, we got through fine. We were fine.
Yeah. And Ian, you came from a relatively large family. Mm-hmm. I mean, yourself and 4 siblings. I mean, all siblings went to St. Jago.
Right.
Yeah. And all siblings have gone on to do well.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, the values that we had growing up. There was always the concept of hard work. You work for what you want, right? Mm-hmm. And education was important. So the whole point of actually participating in extracurricular activities and all that sort of thing was never at the expense of education.
Yes.
Right. I remember a situation where I was playing Manning Cup. I was playing Manning Cup at 15 years old. Right? Played the year before, did pretty well. So you thought you were a big star. So you didn't bother to put in the effort at training and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Did you make it all the way to Jamaica team as well?
No.
Or it kind of cut off after Manning Cup?
After Manning Cup and Division 1 and all that stuff.
Okay. Who you played Division 1 for at the time?
A couple of teams.
Yeah?
A couple of teams. Some in Spanish Town, Montego, because I used to live there.
Okay.
So when time came for the team to be selected and gears to be handed out, I was there and the coach didn't call my name. So I'm saying, you know, what's going on here? So I went to him and asked him, you know, what's happening? He said, you have not been at training. I walked 2.5 miles home, crying the entire way. The next day, he came and saw my father and said, you know what, this is what happened. My father looked at me like I could have sunk. He looked at me like he said, you know what, you haven't learned anything.
He was really disappointed in you.
Yeah, because you know you never followed through. You haven't worked. And the coach said he used to come to if he comes to training morning and evening, sits in extra class and gets his work done, he'll be on the team. I did that for about 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. Got on the team. Actually scored a couple goals in the process, but it was fine. And you know that stuck with me because there's no reward without work.
Yes.
Right, and that has been part of me from that point onwards. You know, you grow up in those value systems, and it augurs well for you.
And after St. Jago, you know, what happened with your college career, university level? Where'd you jump into?
I went to University of the West Indies, and interestingly, I actually went to register for a degree in marine biology.
Okay.
Right?
Was that coming from, you know, your parents at the time, or just you know some kind of wild idea you had at the time?
I used to watch Jack Cousteau.
Okay.
On TV, and I had this romantic
some
fantasy.
Say he was a madman.
So you know, so I'm there about to register for this marine biology. So in the nat science faculty, a friend of mine saw me and said, you know, what are you doing? I said, no, I'm registering for marine biology. He said to me, you're a madman. You're not earning money.
See, there you go.
So I looked at him and said, come to social science, come register for management studies. And that was it. You know, as I said, the rest is history.
And when you look back at it now, what really was marine biology? What profession could it have put you in exactly?
At that time,
Yeah, like a lab or something, or
lab teaching, that sort of thing.
Okay.
At that time, nowadays it's a bit different because of the whole environmental focus and all that sort of thing. But
so
at that time,
so it could have been like studying a reef or something like that.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You know?
And so you know, when you flash forward, so you did marine biology, and then what was like your first job like, Ian? You know, coming out of college in those days, you know.
Coming out of university.
Where was the first job for
Coming out of university,
Ian McNaughton?
Coming out of university, and this will surprise a lot of people. We actually used to manufacture televisions in Jamaica, not components, actual full-bodied television.
The whole TV.
Whole thing. Zenith was the brand. Right there on South Camp Road, Royal Samuels.
Okay.
That's where my first job was.
Were we actually selling the TVs in Jamaica or just export?
They were being sold in Jamaica and some export, some exports. Pretty good television at the time.
Yeah, but you still see the brand now actually just for sale at retail shops in Jamaica. Interesting.
You know, so that was my first job, and it was okay.
Yeah. But you got a start and you know got your career rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
And I then went to National Housing Trust as a compliance auditor. You know, I spent a couple of years there, and I was actually at Wisynco for 2 or 3 years. Right.
And would you say that time period, you know, when you got into kind of compliance and, you know, a bit of auditing and so, is that kind of what started to shape your career into like kind of the administrative or accounting? Like you started to actually like doing, you know, what a person call it back office, but you started to enjoy that side of the business?
Because, I mean, the whole aspect of actually, you know, being able to make the connections between what has actually happened and what the facilities or organizations are doing was pretty interesting, and it kind of guided me in that direction. So,
and Ian, most persons you talk to, you know, whether it's at the CEO role or at a high-level position, don't like that side of the business. What do you think personally, or when you pivoted and you know made that move? What do you think about you has made you not just like that side, but has made you do so well and kind of achieve greatness?
The attention to detail. There are interconnections between numbers and reality. We have to be able to read what happened, what you're seeing on a financial statement, for instance. The numbers tell a story, right? And over the years, I have come to realize that what fails a lot of us in business in many instances is that we're not able to see past gross profit or net profit and look behind the numbers to see what is really going on in the company. I mean, I remember there was a mentor that I had years ago who said to me that the only people in an organization who actually know the full business are the people in accounts.
So you started to connect the dots.
Yeah.
We're going to get right back to that, Ian. Thanks for that. We take our first break on Business Live Extra. More when we return. Welcome back to Business Live Extra. Cumax Wealth Management Limited provides unique investment products and wealth management opportunities to satisfy clients' needs. Cumax was incorporated in August 2005 as the wealth and asset management arm of the credit union movement. In March 2021, Cumax, formerly the Credit Union Fund Management Limited, CUFMC, rebranded to widen its client base to serve the wider community. QMax is licensed by the Financial Services Commission, FSC, as a securities dealer and is a member of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE. Additionally, they are a pension fund manager, pension fund administrator, and an approved CIS fund manager by the FSC. QMax is a subsidiary of the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League. Our guest is Mr. Ian McNaughton, CEO of Cumax Wealth Management Limited. Ian, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
No. Yes, you're mentioning, and it's a really important thing, globally and even in Jamaica, regionally, we've seen whereby a lot of the great CEOs now are coming out of the accounting department. They were the CFO for the company. And, the board of directors are pulling on them, kind of versus the flamboyant or, kind of the sales guy. Something that we probably saw a decade ago.
Right.
There's still a few of those, but the CFO is really becoming, the guy or the lady, in the corporation.
Right.
What you're starting to talk about that, and what do you really attribute that to from your experience?
Well, the environment is becoming extremely highly regulated. And it is inimical to I don't mean any offense by it, but it's inimical to a salesperson's personality to be regulated, right? And companies will look towards the people who are, facilitators of regulatory compliance to manage the environment, because it's very difficult. So if you can find a CEO who understands the regulatory environment, understands the financial reporting environment, and also understands the requirements of the business in terms of growth, etc., you have a complete package.
Gotcha. And, speaking also about, let's say your family again, the McNaughton, guys, I've come across some of your brothers, they've gone on to do excellent, you said. One's with actually Amber Group,
Right.
You mentioned, come across the other ones as well. And what's interesting is some of them are in financial, non-financial, and your family has just really built out a successful name.
Right, right.
Do you think it's only just the background and the parents and everything, or, as you said, the hard work, or what do you attribute that all to?
Yeah, the background of the parents has a lot to do with it. A lot to do with it. And once you have the foundation in terms of background and values, right, the hard work is just another piece of the puzzle. And I can tell you, my brothers and sister who lives overseas, and one other brother who lives overseas, are part of that development. Here you have Maurice, and who is director of Mona School of Business, right? Very highly rated with regards to especially management information systems and that type of thing. Michael, well, he's a household name.
Yes.
Amber Group developed the COVID app and has developed this motor vehicle security system that is present on most of our cars here,
And all three of you, Ian, are somewhat, whether it's finance, accounting, like IT, as you said, management, but all three of you are in some degree of those type of backgrounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody doing sales or anybody doing marketing, out of curiosity? Out of the five of you?
No, but the sales side of it, the sons have taken that up.
No. Excellent, yeah. And when you look at QMax now, QMax, it's incorporated as a previous name. When did all this rebranding occur and so forth?
The rebranding actually started earlier this year. The thoughts were there before, based on the fact that we know the regulations are coming with BOJ. But rebranding actually started and culminated this year, last month. So the whole name change was done, and the logo was redone. The tagline, which I think is an excellent tagline, making more possible, is there. And the fact is that we are not rebranding in name only. We are rebranding in terms of, and re-energizing and refocusing in terms of our approach to the market to ensure that we are not participants in this industry. We compete. We can be with the best and become the best.
And this business now, is it open for just businesses or B2B, or is it also for retail clients?
Retail clients are welcome, but we are more focused along institutional. Right?
And are you open to non-credit union members, or do you have to be a credit union member?
We're a limited liability company. So as a security dealer, we are open to anybody, corporate or cooperative, who likes our products and think that we have something to offer.
Okay. And where are you located? I mean, if I'm a Jamaican and I say, boy, I hear ad on the radio or wherever I hear it, social media, and I want to, I like what I'm hearing. Right. I want to jump into QMax and, just like walking into wherever it is, JMB, NCB. Right. Where do I go to?
We're at 10 Ruthven Road. Anybody who knows Sutton Place Hotel will find us.
Okay. And And what's the, how does it all work? Like, what's your head count like? I mean, what's the size of the business, from this point going forward?
As we are right now, our head count is approximately 25 people, right? We don't expect to remain at 25. However, we are looking to technology to enhance a lot of our activities and our business processes. In addition to ensuring that we have frictionless as much as possible interface with our clients. So the 25 might become 29, 30, but we are not looking to have a huge plethora of human resources.
Any branches as yet island-wide, or are you pulling on, your group office in any particular way? Or is it just really your goal is to have a central location?
Well, we do not have any branches as yet, but that's part of the plan.
Okay.
To expand outwards. The fact of the matter is Mark, that credit unions already have a branch network.
Mm-hmm.
So as an entity that is owned by credit unions, we can leverage that branch network to get out to the wider
It's a great point. So similar to like the building societies, we've seen recently where, Victoria Mutual Investments has kind of injected VM Wealth into, let's say, some VMBS locations. Could that be an avenue that you're looking at, whether it's 2022 onwards or so?
Well, we are looking at that avenue, Mark, but 2022 is too far for us. We're looking at
could be later this year.
Later this year.
Okay. And how does it work? So we've seen some of the some of your press releases. There's Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League. JCCUL.
Right.
When if you're to go into a branch, how does it work? Do you go into a JCCUL branch? Do you go into a particular credit union branch? I mean, sometimes it can be a bit confusing, for the onlooker. How does that whole logistics work for QMax?
As at now, the central offices where retail will have to operate.
Okay.
So they can operate through the credit unions, but they will have to know the credit unions now become a buffer between us and the client. So that is not the ideal state. But as it is right now, the retail will have to come through the branch, the head office. The other side of it is that...
but they fill out your forms. They fill out a QMax Wealth form.
QMax Wealth forms. The credit unions themselves, at this point, will also interface with us at our head office, which is why I mentioned the fact that technology is going to be important for us to facilitate that type of frictionless interface with whoever we're having client relations with. So
I mean, Ian, can you go as far as saying all the credit unions, the institutions, are clients or potential clients of QMax Wealth?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as saying that.
So you could have one of the widest distribution networks or widest potential distribution networks in Jamaica?
Well, we intend to have that.
Okay. Yeah. Any rough idea, what size branch network or how many assets we're talking about?
As it is right now, QMax has approximately $23 billion under management. Right? Now, if you start looking at the investment portfolios of all the 25 credit unions that are around, you are looking at many multiples of that $20 billion. Right? What we need to do is to be able to develop our product offerings to attract these entities. The fact of the matter is that, Mark, a credit union is a business in itself. These are business people. They're always looking to they need to look at getting returns for their assets and their investments. We need to provide competitive assets and competitive options for them. And once we get that done, we're fine.
Do you have a target? Is there a goal you and QMax have, 3 years from now? If you're at 23 billion now, where you want to get to? What's your magic number?
Magic number for me, funds under management, I think we'll be looking at between 70 and $80 billion.
By that time?
By that time.
Right. We're going to get back to that. We take another break on Business Live Extra. More when we return. Thanks for joining us on Business Live Extra. QMax's vision is to provide a wide variety of investment options to its clients through the products and services offered. The company deals in collective investment schemes as well as brokers the purchase of bonds and stocks. QMax has revealed plans to increase the company's assets under management, AUM, which amounts to over 20 billion Jamaican dollars. A wealth of new products and services are in store for the company. Let's hear more on what is new and in store from the CEO of QMax, Mr. Ian McNaughton. Ian, welcome back to Business Live Extra.
Thanks, Mark.
You're just mentioning, you want to hit that $80 billion magic number, here or so in 3 years or so. 2024, let's say 2025.
Right.
It's a decent number, fair number what you got though. As I said, 25 credit unions or so.
Challenging number.
But you can do it, I mean, as I said, 3 times, maybe 4 times where you're at now. What are some of the types of products and services you can, deliver or give to Jamaicans to get there?
Repurchase agreements. We all know what repos are, repurchase agreements, right? And they serve their purpose. But that's not our end game.
Is that a dead product now, or is that still alive in the market?
It has its purposes. It has its purposes for both for the investment house and for some clients, especially corporate clients.
Is it still offered? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it still offered in the market?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But although it has its purposes, Mark, that is not our end game.
Okay.
Our end game really is to ensure that we develop to the maximum potential the CIS investment funds, right?
And you have CISs on offer now?
Right, we have one offer now, and we are developing some new portfolios, funds, to be able to offer to our clients.
What's your best CIS now, or what's an example of a CIS? QMax.
QMax CIS, QMax Equity Fund right now is returning about 14%.
Is it like a growth fund or income or balance?
Equity, pure
Okay.
equity.
Okay.
So for instance, the aggressive investor who is willing to take that type of risk, that's an ideal fund.
So if I look in, let's say one of the national newspapers and we look at that CIS or unit trust table, QMax is there now,
Yeah.
putting out your prices.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah.
So you have a win on the table already.
Well,
All right.
I'm not sure if it's my win, but it's a win anyway.
It's a QMax win. How many prices you have now, or how many
6.
You have 6 already.
Yeah.
Publishing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right.
Okay.
So we have to develop on these. We have to make them better, and provide the option for our investment clients to actually.
And are you finding, Ian, that credit predominantly your client base? Let's assume, or let's say, if they're predominantly members, are you finding them investing into whether it's brokerage equities or into the equity fund, or are they still going more to the fixed income side?
Half and half. The narrative has to be able to give them the options and give them the characteristics and benefits of either, right? So, as it is now, it's becoming a lot easier to point somebody to funds as opposed to fixed income because of the low interest rates, etc., low interest rates regime. So, in our communications with our clients, credit unions in particular, we are trying to envelop in them the appreciation and understanding of how CIS funds work. A lot of people do not know or realize that CIS funds provides pretty much the only compound interest factor as an investment facility.
So it's a real deep education process.
Yeah, has to.
And this is really going through your financial advisors, like your registered dealers rep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You find there's a lot of interest still though in the stock market with kind of the boom in returns the stock market has given, where just every layman, every person is coming in and asking about stocks.
Yeah, and when you were on the board, when we were both on the board, that we were facilitators of what was a very good education program through Marlin Street Forest at the Stock Exchange. Excellent education program. And you got to the point now where, even the layman on the road will say, you know what, I have a stock portfolio.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So it's not only rich people quote unquote, invest in stocks anymore. People do it because of the education process that took place through the stock exchange over the last, well, prior to now, last 8-9 years. And it's a continuing activity because education and understanding of the investment environment goes a long way in helping people to participate in it.
At QMax, Ian, do you have a brokerage minimum or do you have no minimum? I mean, there's some brokerages out there that might have $500,000 Jamaican minimum.
No minimum.
250,000. So you can come in with 10 grand Jamaica and 25 grand and just
no
boom,
minimum.
Just buy.
No minimum.
So you can buy 1,000 shares a week and just get going.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there are some regulatory limits which we have to abide by, like repo limit, etc. But no minimum.
Okay. And do you find, you know, especially with credit union members, I mean, I've heard that kind of out there in the street, but do you find with the kind of, you know, Wigton and Trans Jamaica got a huge shareholder list, as you said, it kind of created, you know, a huge kind of boom in the short term, but with the stock prices kind of falling off substantially, you find you kind of get that with your financial advisor sometimes, that boy, and kind of catch a little afraid, or you know, they have to kind of, or it's okay, in other words, or has that kind of created a little bit of a smear?
No, you see, again, the education process is important because in the communication and dialogue with clients, there is always the point to say, look, stocks can go up, stocks can go down.
So it's a long-term game, education.
Medium to long-term investing option. You know and I know that the stock market outperforms every single asset class over time, right? And this is part of the education, the communication, and the dialogue that you have. So individuals will be upset, rightly so, because they say, oh, well, my portfolio has lost value. But they're not as upset to actually sell it.
Yes.
You know, the conversation will continue and say, okay, fine. When do you think this will come back? So, well, we can't be sure, but when the economy turns around, and that's the type of conversation.
Right. Does QMax at this point have a property fund or a REIT or anything like that in its CIS portfolios or separately, you know, at this stage, or not yet?
Well, you asked me to tell tales out of school.
I never wanted to breach any regulations, Mr. McNaughton.
We have that in our plans.
Okay.
We have that in our plans.
At this stage, though, you don't have a product in that kind of suite of products?
No.
Okay. All right. And how do you feel about those markets? You think any of the markets now are saturated, or you think at the end of the day it's good diversification?
It's good diversification. You see, once you have good assets, good backing assets in these funds, you'll always be ahead. And there are assets, there are good assets around. You know, you just need to find them and need to do your due diligence and ensure that you're looking at the right metrics.
When you look at your client base, you know, whether institutional or retail, any new sectors, new asset classes, any innovation you can tell us about that you find your client pools are demanding, you know, just besides what's traditional? Well,
let's just assume that investment banking is not traditional, right? That's one of the areas that we are looking at to flesh out and actually develop in QMax.
Is that like more like private placements or, you know, okay.
Right. So that is one of the areas that we are actually actively working on now, which we expect to have rolling out within another couple of months, right?
Okay. So to your point, you really want to see QMax, I mean, compete with the best of the best and become a full service securities dealer. Yep.
That's the plan. You know, as I said earlier, we're not here to participate. We have to compete, and we have to be competitive. And you know, you won't win every race.
Yes.
But you have to compete.
So I mean, you're a service provider or a hub for the credit unions, but that's not all what you are. You really want to be an investment bank, securities dealer, the full Monty for the marketplace.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
And offering that facility to the credit union is front and center.
Yeah. Are you providing any kind of U.S. exposure or U.S. assets at this point in time, whether it's foreign currency bonds or U.S. stock market, or not at this point?
No, we are. We actually have U.S. denominated CIS funds.
We do? Okay.
Yeah, and we actually do offer repurchase agreements, bonds.
And any potential mergers or acquisitions on the horizon? Any maybe, especially as you've put out, boy, we're 23 billion, it's a big number. It's probably attracted some attention. Any smaller companies out there have come and said, Ian, why don't you just buy me out or gobble me up?
Not yet.
You guys are the center of attention, no?
Not yet. But I'm sure they'll
Are you open to that though, or your board of directors?
I mean, we're open to it. I mean, fact is that you need to look at all options that are presented in front of you and make a decision.
Okay, so it's not just organic growth for QMax. You could look at deals in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ian, one of the big questions, the credit union, I would say, league or movement is just, it's known historically and maybe today for being ultra conservative, and it's one of the reasons for your success. How do you balance that with a more kind of maybe attractive brand, flamboyant brand? But how do you balance that and, as you said earlier, giving returns to your client base? How do you kind of balance that moving forward? The pressure on both sides.
Well, part of it has to do with education, right? The dialogue has to include education about what is available and the pros and cons of the options. Fact is that there's no totally risk-free investment, right? And with the environment that we're in now, in this pandemic type of environment, the core business of credit unions has taken a bit of a hit because loans, which is the core business of credit unions, obviously they're gonna tend to falter in an environment where people are losing jobs, that type of thing. So the options to provide other revenue streams is front and center. And we have to be there to provide those options. So you're right, the balance between conservatism and risk-taking has to be found to ensure that there's comfort in the relationship.
Excellent. We're going to come back to that point. We take another break on Business Live Extra. More with the CEO of QMax, Mr. Ian McNaughton, when we return. Welcome back to Business Live Extra. The Credit Union League represents all the credit unions across Jamaica collectively, and QMax is strategically structured to capture this wealth and further increase this wealth for all of its members. The QMax brand is significantly more modern, cutting edge, and does not have the phrase or branding or co-op in it. What does this mean for the movement going forward? Is it the start of a modernization of the league to its members, and will there be other structural changes such as this or other services to come for members to increase the growth of Cumax Wealth Management? For a final time, we're joined by the CEO of Cumax Wealth Management Limited, Mr. Ian McNaughton, to speak about these positive changes. Ian, good to have you. Welcome back. Just seeing the branding and the changes and everything, what's some of the roles? I mean, do you have everything now in QMax Wealth Management, whether it's back office, front office, the middle, or what's kind of the relationship like with yourself and, the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League?
QMax Wealth Management is a subsidiary of the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League.
Okay.
And no, we do not have all of the pieces in place, but we are working, assiduously to get them there. We are on the verge of implementing a full suite software, transactional software system for the group, which will include...
And the group being the Cooperative Credit Union League.
Yeah.
Who's the boss? Who's the big man at the Cooperative Credit Union League?
A man we all know, Robin Levy.
Okay, so you kind of report into him or work with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And the software is going to be like an enterprise-wide system?
Yep.
Okay.
So what that will do, it will create efficiencies throughout the group, but certainly for QMax in terms of how it actually manages its client relationships, manages investment portfolios, and the whole 9 yards as to how you manage an investment house. So that's in train now, and additionally, we are looking at other aspects of information technology, digitization of the interface between our clients and ourselves. One of the things that we realize, Mark, is that COVID has taught us a lot. Right? And what it has taught us in the business sector, really for me, is the fact that we have to find ways to get to our clients without them having to get to us. And that's going to be an important aspect going forward. So technology will provide that interface. We are in the process of getting that done.
And you raise a brilliant point. I mean, at this stage of QMax, I mean, do you offer, whether it's a digital app or opening your accounts online, or that's a part of this whole
That's
revolution?
a part of this whole process.
Okay. All right.
To get that done.
So right now, let's say open an account. I mean, like a lot of institutions are still at that stage. You got to physically come into the branch or to the head office.
That's where it is right now.
Okay. And are your customers, though, actually asking for some online access or call center access?
I haven't heard it personally, but I would expect that they are. Because, if you're talking to somebody, to a client, a potential client who is in Spanish Town,
time, gas, and also driving all that way. I mean, that's what it's like, yeah.
So that is front and center in terms of what our development plans.
Yeah. And to the point earlier, though, are you doing all of the compliance, the accounting functions, everything in QMax, like what we've seen with some of the the bank subsidiaries where they don't necessarily centralized, but they've like literally separated and made them true subsidiaries, or what's kind of your goals or plans there?
Well, the relationship with the league, Jamaica Credit Union League, and QMax is one of a subsidiary which is focused on the job of that subsidiary. So you have group functions like HR, accounting, risk and compliance, which are group functions which we draw on. But those particular functions are not in QMax as an endemic activity. So we are free to focus a lot on what we need to do.
Yeah. And you think, while it might not be in your domain, but you think then with this kind of bigger picture happening and all this value being created in QMax, I mean, the league goes public one day? Is that kind of the ultimate picture here? With all these kind of like power moves being made?
Well, that's a good question. Just
a perception,
because it's certainly a direction. At this point in time, the league is a cooperative. I'm not sure about the rules of that.
You mean it would have to be like demutualized or something like that, like what the stock exchange went through, coincidentally.
Right, but QMax, which is a limited liability company, can go public.
And QMax, Ian, to your point, so QMax has a board of directors, it has a chairperson. Yeah. I mean, who's the chairman of QMax kind of also leading this charge?
Chairman of QMax is Lambert Johnson, who is also the president of the Jackal board, league board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a couple industry players on there, notably Carlton Barkley.
Of Jamaica National fame as well.
And who is now at CNWJ Credit Union.
There are some powerful guys, big influencers, I mean, in Jamaican society, but also there's a credit union league.
Right.
Okay. And that really is what you would say, it really instills a lot of confidence, in your client base and your members?
Yes, it does. But at the same time, Mark, as I said before, I need to reiterate it, we need to have competitive products. So that is what we have to develop, those products. We have to develop our offerings. We have to develop our client relations.
Yeah.
So that credit unions are not participating in your business because they are credit unions. They're participating in your business because you're offering good facilities.
And you make a huge point. I mean, you can compete on whether it's interest rate, price. I mean, some companies, brand and marketing, service. But you have the experience. I mean, you're at Barita for 10, 11 years. I mean, you've done it. And you look at what Barita has been built into now. I mean, but you laid all that foundation with Rita. What are you trying to compete on at QMax? I mean, what's going to, because the market, some would argue the market is so saturated now. I mean, so much products. I mean, what's going to be QMax's mantra to compete on?
Client experience.
Client experience.
Client experience. We have to ensure.
Well, what does that mean? I get a coffee in the lobby, or what you gonna give me?
No, the whole point is that in the interaction with the clients, a client, the relationship has to be such. You have to develop the relationship with the client as such that, you know, you might not be offering the best rate at the point in time.
Yes.
But the relationship that has been developed with that client keeps them there, right? Now, it might sound romantic, but a lot of clients have loyalties. They have loyalties for one reason or another, right? We have to determine what triggers that loyalty in our clients and our potential clients and develop that. So that's what I mean by client relationship. It means that you have to understand the client needs, you have to understand the client wants, and develop that relationship to ensure that you are satisfying those wants and needs.
So that's kind of a process you're examining now, or you're researching.
No, it is. The point is that there's a reason why, you know, there's a reason why Barita got client relation awards at the stock exchange, best practices.
You were like a perennial winner. Yeah.
There's a reason why.
And that's something that you want to get that now, not just right, but you want to get that culture going at QMax.
Yeah.
No, well said. And how do you feel right now about the periphery services? You know, whether it's, you know, your website, your IT, everything at QMax, you feel it's up to scratch, or are you heading in that right direction?
We're heading in the right direction. Everything can be incrementally improved now. Everything.
Okay.
And that is what we intend to do. Incrementally improve, step by step, sustained improvement. We don't intend to go up and fall back.
And then fall back down.
No.
Yeah. And your executive team now, Ian, is it something that you've been on board with QMax since June or so?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have launched, you're out there. The executive team is something that is, you know, inherited, or you're kind of currently building it out, and your staff complement. How is that going for you? Because, you know, new CEOs like to put in, you know, their team.
No, well, the staff complement right now is functional. There are a couple of new players there. The business development manager started there in April.
Okay.
Right. Portfolio management started there probably 4 months ago.
Okay.
Right. So you have a couple of new people along with me and they're pretty good.
Okay.
Right. So you examine the what's there and fill in the gaps. So.
Okay. So the kind of Cumax McNaughton culture is coming to come.
Yeah.
All right. And you know, regionally, I mean, you sound like you have Jamaica covered. You know, you have this great distribution network. I guess you got to figure that out in time and how that's all going to gel. But anything regionally, or that's way further down the road, not really on the agenda right now?
No, it's on the agenda right now.
Okay.
There are credit unions in the region.
Okay.
And
any particular, you know, island or just country in the region that really is strong in the credit union movement, like Jamaica? Or is it actually everywhere?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in all the islands.
Any credit unions in Jamaica itself now have linkages to other islands?
You know, like branches? No.
No. Okay.
No. But as I said, you know, we are looking at the region also concurrently with all that we're doing to pretty much bring them into the coffle.
You see is there any risk, and actually, you know, a lot of persons, if you weren't in a credit union, it was a secret, right? Do you know, as you said, with the regulations or impending regulations, know that QMax is out there? You know, you see any risks with that, or as you said, is a change of culture going to be maybe a kind of risk or a bad thing? Because, you know, in a way, it's kind of like the secret's out now. You know, I mean, a credit union, as you said, is, you know, sometimes I see somebody in maybe corporate say, hey, I want to go join this credit union. And it wasn't like that 10, maybe even 5, 20 years ago. Is that going to actually be a bad thing or a risk for the credit union movement, that it's kind of like, you know, the credit union is now just like a NCB, a BNS, a Sagicor, which is a part of your modernization, and it probably has to happen, but is that going to be a risk going forward?
That is an excellent point, Mark. And the fact is that this is something that we have grappled with in the credit union movement over the years. We have to maintain the credit union ideals, the credit union standards, the credit union mantra. It has to be maintained, right? But the fact is that as a financial industry player, you're competing with everybody for a share of that wallet.
Well
so you
said.
have to find a balance. There has to be a balance.
So this is inevitable at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing with Cumax Wealth and Ian McNaughton.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, sir. It's a pleasure having you and seeing you again.
It's very good to be here.
No one. Well said. That's it for another edition of Business Live Extra. Remember, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. We've been talking with Ian McNaughton, CEO of Cumax Wealth Management Limited. Don't forget, you can watch us online at cvm.com/videos/Business Live Extra. Thanks for joining us.